Hello, welcome in. Today I just want to talk about some of the things that I've been reading recently. And I have actually read a lot of really cool stuff for class, which is all really fun and cool to think about in like an academic perspective. So I wanted to give those their own video, and then in this video I'm just going to talk about the things that I've been reading for fun in my free time. And also, before we get started, I am so sorry if the audio is full of echo in here. I am trying really hard. You should see the setup that I have in this room right now to try and reduce the echo, but I don't know, it's just something about the walls in here. Anyways, as far as what I have read lately, the last book that I just finished was Bunny by Mona Awad, and I loved this. It was so weird in like the best way. Basically, the main character, Samantha, is a graduate student in a creative writing program at this really kind of fancy and really experimental art school. And then the four other girls in the program are in like this weird clique, all best friends, and they call each other Bunny, and they huddle together and wear like cute pastel goth clothes is what I get the impression of. But they start inviting her places and to parties and stuff, and she starts going and hanging out with them and realizes that there is something very bizarre going on with these pink fluffy cupcake girls, and there's something a lot more insidious than what it seems, and it really sucked me in. Like, I read it in 2 days because I couldn't put it down and I needed to know what was going on. And I also think that it was a really kind of smart book in the way that it just talks about like the creative process and art and writing and like the act of creation. I thought there was like a lot of really cool stuff going on narratively and like thematically with that kind of thing, and I just really enjoyed it. I also recently read, along with my friends Allie and Starzy, the book Malice, which is a Sleeping Beauty retelling, but from the point of view of the evil fairy witch. And there's also the spin that there's a sapphic romance going on between her and Princess Aurora, which I thought was such a great concept. And I did really enjoy reading this book. I thought that it was fun. There were some things that I didn't like as much. Allie, Starzy, and I all kind of agreed and talked about how we found it really predictable. And then also I found the writing to be a little bit like it was beating you over the head with some stuff that, like, you know, the main character is the evil, I guess, Maleficent. I don't know, it was very, like, it felt almost a little bit fan fiction-y with just how goth it needed to make it clear that she was, you know? So in some regards, I think that this book was a little bit lackluster, but overall, I still really had a great time reading it, and I love fairy tale retellings, and I loved, you know, what this did with Princess Aurora and their relationship, and I thought it was really fun. I also finally read Where the Drowned Girls Go, which is one of the latest additions to the Wayward Children series. I think it's like number 7 or 8 or something, so it's kind of hard to explain the plot without spoiling all of the books before it. But the series in general is about a school for children who have found doors to other worlds, you know, like Narnia style, and have come back to our world and are having a hard time adjusting and coping to the fact that they're back in this world. And throughout the series, we get to explore some of those worlds that the kids have gone to and kind of see their journey of them trying to get back to the place that they feel is home. Another thing that I picked up recently was King Lear by Shakespeare, which is a Shakespeare play that I have not read yet, but I had a penguin arc for Enter the Body by Joy McCullough, and one of the main characters in this is Cordelia from King Lear. So I thought, you know what, I better just read King Lear before I jump into this. And I did enjoy this. Basically the premise is that there's this king, and he tells his 3 daughters one day that they all need to tell him how much they love him, and he's going to divide his kingdom up and give them their inheritance based on who loves him the most. And so 2 of the sisters are like lying and exaggerating and being like, oh yeah, we love you so much, and like licking his boots. And then the 3rd sister, Cordelia, is like, yeah, no, you're my dad and I love you the normal amount that a daughter would love her dad. I'm not gonna like grovel at your feet for this, you know what I mean? So he ends up like exiling her and giving all of his kingdom to the 2 other sisters, and then of course they betray him because they don't actually love him. I didn't feel like it was the most interesting or exciting Shakespeare play that I've ever read, but I did really enjoy Cordelia as a character, and I think that reading this first really helped me kind of understand her and enjoy Enter the Body by Joy McCullough when I read this next. If you don't already know, I am a huge Joy McCullough fan. She's the author of Blood Bloodwater Paint, which is another story in verse about the life of Artemisia Gentileschi, who's like my favorite painter. And then she also wrote another book a few years ago, We Are the Ashes. It's also about a young woman's experience with sexual assault and how she's kind of relating her experience to a historical figure who went through similar things. And I just really like Joy McCullough's thing with that, like giving these historical women a modern relatability and giving them a voice and telling their stories. And that's again what she's doing with Enter the Body. So Enter the Body is about the young women who are kind of brutalized and killed off in all of Shakespeare's plays. So we have Cordelia, Ophelia, Lavinia, and Juliet, who are all together in this trapdoor room under the stage, and they are kind of just talking to each other and telling each other their stories. And then it gets to a point that I just thought was really, really cool of these girls acknowledging that these are the stories that were written for them by a man, by Shakespeare. And they start thinking about, you know, what would I have done differently if I was the one writing my story? And I thought that it was really cool because they're still acknowledging that it is a story. You know, the plays that they're in are tragedies and they're meant to be tragedies, but how could that have been done in a way that honors their characters and gives them agency and a voice instead of just kind of using them as props to be brutalized and murdered, you know? And I really liked it, and I really liked how all of the characters had their own really distinct personalities and ideas of what a good story should be. That was just really cool. The only complaint that I had about this book is that the dialogue scenes where the women are talking to each other, the way they speak to each other is kind of hokey. It's kind of gimmicky. It's very like hashtag teen girl speak. And to me, it just didn't really resonate with the kind of gravity and the depth of the verse sections of the novel when the girls are telling their stories. But besides that, this was amazing. I loved this. Another Penguin Teen arc that I read recently was Snow and Poison, which is a Snow White retelling. I think it's part of a series that Melissa de la Cruz is doing, because she also has Cinder and Glass, which is a Cinderella retelling, which I did not like. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun read, but I had a lot of issues with it, and then I feel the same way about Snow and Poison. I enjoyed reading it. It was fun. Like I said, I love a fairy tale retelling, and this was set in Bavaria. I live in Bavaria now, so that was really cool, and there was a lot that I liked about it. Like the general ambiance of a fairy tale retelling was so good. And again, I really do like the concept of these. Melissa de la Cruz is taking these fairy tale characters and kind of transposing them onto real life historical figures and kind of loosely tying in the fairy tale to actual real life historical events. Very loosely again, but still I think it's cool. I think that's a neat concept, but again, I just had a lot of issues with it, and I think the main thing is that it just feels like the plot is not thought out very well. The tone, again, the tone was kind of all over the place. It kind of switches between, again, like modern teenage girl talk to then like trying to be very deep and poetic, and it was just like, I don't know. There was a lot that I did not like. But again, still a fun read. Just wish that they were a little bit more thoughtful, I guess. Another Penguin Teen arc that I read was The Memory Eater. This is out in March, and I really enjoyed this. Basically, there's this monster called the Memory Eater who can eat people's memories and take those memories away from them. There is also this family, the Harlow family, who have for centuries found a way to keep her imprisoned in a cave on the coastline of like this coastal town in Maine. And the deal that they have with her, they have this bargain that she will stay imprisoned, they'll keep her locked up so that she can't get out and like wreak havoc on the world, but in exchange they have to bring her people who are willingly wanting to have memories taken away from them so that they can keep the Memory Eater fed, but only through people who are voluntarily doing this of their own free will. And our main character is Alana Harlow, who is 17, and she is very young to be stepping into this role, and she isn't perfect, and she makes some mistakes and some bad things start happening, and the Memory Eater ends up tricking her and escaping. And so in this book they have to reckon with that. And I really liked this. It was kind of scary, but not really, just more like tense. Like you have this apprehension. But I think it also is a book where, you know, not everything is what it seems, and it deals with a lot of kind of really meaningful themes like sadness and loss and pain. I think was a really big one, and how we deal with pain and what is the value of pain. And yeah, I did like this a lot. And then the last penguin teen book that I read, also out in March, is Chloe and the Cacao Boys. And this is about Chloe, a teenage girl growing up in the Philippines who her dream is to go to college in the US for animation, and she has gotten into USC and she's really excited to go, and her mom lives in the US and everything, but she's been raised by her dad in the Philippines and the rest of her family is there, and she has this really like strong and loving base there who obviously love her and support her but don't really want her to leave. And so her family starts setting her up on these arranged dates with boys from their like circle that, you know, they're hoping that Chloe will fall in love with one of them and decide that she wants to stay and she doesn't want to go to the US after all. Of course, Chloe hates this and she's very annoyed by it, but some of the boys she's been set up with aren't so bad, and so things get a little bit complicated. And I really liked this. I thought that it was so nice that yes, Chloe wants to follow her dreams and go to USC, but it's something that's actually a hard decision for her. I feel like oftentimes when we have those stories, not really a hard decision because the character hates their hometown and they just want to get out and everything sucks there, but it's going to be great over there. Whereas in this one, Chloe really genuinely, she loves where she's from. She loves her family there. There is also a great university there that she could get a really good education at, and she has plenty of opportunities to make a good life for herself there. So it really kind of showed like what a hard decision this is for her, and also this feeling of being torn with divorced parents between her dad who's raised her versus her mom who lives in a different country but who she really wants to have a closer relationship with. And yeah, I really liked it, and the romances were really cute as well. And then the last few books that I've read I actually listened to on Librofm, which if you don't know is an audiobook platform that I really love, because instead of using Audible and sending all of your money to Amazon and Jeff Bezos, when you buy a book through Librofm, you can choose what local or independent or like family owned bookstore you want that purchase to go through. So your money is supporting, you know, smaller businesses of your choice. And I think it's really great. And in my dreams, everybody cancels their Audible subscription and goes to Librofm instead. But the books that I've listened to, first of all, I listened to The Atlas 6, which was so good and I loved it. And the audiobook was incredible. It had a full cast. So every one of the 6 main characters had their own voice actor. And they were all really good as well. Like I loved their voices and I loved listening to this. It is about a group of graduate students who also all have like supernatural abilities like telekinesis or telepathy or stuff like that. And they are selected for this very secretive kind of like internship or fellowship program thing with the Library of Alexandria. They just get to go and like have access to all of these amazing archives and do research into supernatural magical things. But, you know, throughout this experience, they start to realize that there is also something sinister and nefarious going on with this program. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was very dark academia, but also, you know, with some magic. And I loved the cast of characters, and it was really just a cool story. I really liked it. Another thing that I listened to on Librofm was Even Though I Knew the End, which was just like a kind of a short detective noir kind of story, but with a female lead and like a sapphic romance going on, and also like again magical and supernatural things also happening in the background. Like there are demons and stuff like that, and it was really, really interesting and also not too long. Like I said, I listened to this in a few sessions of cleaning my house on audio. And then I also listened to a nonfiction on Libro. It's called The Good Life, and this is about a Harvard study that has been ongoing for several generations actually, looking into what factors are most important for people's lives being happy and healthy and living longer and just having like general well-being. And the focus of this book is on the most important factor that they have found throughout this study. It's not your job or how much money you earn or where you live or, you know, your physical condition. It really comes down to the relationships that you have with other people. And if you're having like meaningful and fulfilling relationships with your friends and your family. And I think that that's really beautiful, but also really sad, because I know that that's the area of life that so many people tend to neglect. And I also really liked it because it's not just giving data, it's making it really personal and talking about the personal experiences of the people in the study and kind of differences in how these people lived their lives. So yeah, that is everything that I have read for fun recently. Again, I will also have a video about the things that I've read for school up if you're interested in that as well. And I would love to know what you have been reading lately. What is your favorite thing that you've read recently? I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope that I will get to talk to you soon. Bye!